atmospheric jungle. By the end of this video, you'll learn simple tips on how to create interesting break sequences, deep sub bass, as well as one of the most important parts, how to evoke deep emotions and atmosphere using pads and melodies. All key ingredients of 90s atmospheric jungle. What I love about this style is you can be dancing and sweating your butt off in a rave at 5 a.m. or you can be listening to it deep in a meditation or yoga session. I especially enjoy the sounds of Bukem, Blame, Big Bud, Future Engineers, Nookie, Omni Trio, DJ Crystal, and of course the great PFM. Comment down below and let me know what are some of your favorite atmospheric jungle tracks. Alright, without further ado, let's dive deep. Alright, so the first step to making some atmospheric jungle is to look for an awesome sounding breakbeat. I found this nice break in the DJ Crystal Fragments pack. It's called Soul Crystal. Just love how full this break sounds, and there's tons of breaks like these in his sample pack. Now what I like to do is edit and chop up the break to make it a little more my own. So here we have the same break, and what I've done was identified key areas of the breaks, namely the kick, snare, and any other hits that we may have, such as crash cymbals. The kicks are labeled in purple and the snares are labeled in green. I colored this snare yellow only because it sounds slightly different. So I just want to have that nuance of a different snare at certain parts. So an easy way to rearrange this is to create a new audio track and then just pull in the notes that you want. Now I have an idea of the rhythm that I want, so I'm going to use this pattern over here. And I may use this final snare here on this section. Just make sure your pattern is exact 2 bars here. So adjust the grid so you know that this is exactly 2 bars. Now you may want to repeat certain shuffles. For example, I like this little shuffle here. I might replace this guy like that. Alright, and we have a nice sounding loop. Hey guys, I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers, so it'd be really awesome if you can hit the subscribe button. YouTube analytics shows me that only 50% of my viewers have subscribed. It'd be really awesome, and it'll help me keep creating free content for you guys if you can hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Now to build on this, I want to add a little more break beats to this composition. So I found this aim and break from the OG Jungle sample pack. And just like the previous exercise, I've identified key areas of the break, the kick, snare, and finally the crash at the end here. And using the same methodology, I can create a new sequence. For example, I may not want to crash at the end, so I may just copy this snare over here, and then I'll make another copy where the crash actually hits at the end. I don't really want this double kick at the very beginning of the phrase, so what I'll do is I like this single kick here, so I'll replace it with this guy. So now we have this. Now with atmospheric jungle and jungle in particular, it's better to have longer sequences as opposed to 1 bar loops or 2 bar loops. This sequence right now is 4 bars. It would be better if we can make this 8 bars so it's less repetitive. So I'm going to take this entire sequence and make it slightly different. So let's duplicate it. So now we have a completely same section here, but we're going to change the very ending here. I'm going to move this crash. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to move this crash to the very end. So I'm going to cut this up, remove this guy, and place this crash at the very last 8th note. Now I had to fill this section here. So easy thing is just to take the snare section and repeat it. So take this section. All I'm doing is selecting the area, which matches the size of this area. Hold Control or Command on Mac, click and drag. All right, so now we have an 8 bar sequence. Let's listen to it in full. All right, not bad. Of course, you can continue making minor edits here and there. The more edits you make, the more intricate and evolving the break will sound. Now, I like to find a good balance between editing the break. Sometimes we may be tempted to over edit, which is nothing wrong with that. That could be leaning more towards like drum funk where it's heavily edited. I like my breaks sounding a little more natural, so the edits are a lot more subtle and nuanced. I'm liking this section so far. Now, this Amen break sounds a little bit lo-fi, so I think it could benefit with some additional EQing. So I'm adding a bit of upper mids and highs just to make it sound a little more fresh and crisp. So here's the before and after. Now, I'm envisioning this Amen break to appear during the drop of the track when the 808s and basses hit. And I'm feeling like another break layer would benefit underneath the Amen. So I found this nice sounding Apache break, also from the Crystal's Fragments pack. So let's dial it in, put it over to Amen, and adjust the level so it just sits underneath the Amen. All right, now that we got the breaks down, let's get some atmospherics in. After all, this is atmospheric jungle. A lot of the atmospheric jungle that I was listening to from the late 90s to the early 2000s had the use of a one chord kind of droney sounds. Essentially, it's just one chord playing through the entire track. And it shows the power of selecting one chord that evokes really deep emotions. So I found this really deep cinematic pad by Crystal, also from the Fragments pack. I just love that somber, almost meditative vibe. I like how this pad has this kind of evolving texture to it. It almost feels like you're flying or you're in the sky or deep in space with those atmospheric sounds and textures. So this is perfect for the vibe that we're going to go for. So let's hear it with some of the breaks. Now, to build on this atmospheric vibe, oftentimes what I hear in atmospheric jungle are these kind of chime melodies with heavy reverb and delay. And I found this really cool melodic loop also from Fragments. I just really love the vibe of this, so I'm gonna duplicate this. And I just especially like these chimes at the very beginning of the phrase. So what I'll do is remove this section here and only keep the chimes. And maybe keep that last section only at the very end of the phrase. All right, the next step is to add some sub bass or 808s. Essentially, 808s are pretty much like a sub bass with a decay. So I'm going to create an 808 bass using Serum. What we're going to do is select a sine wave, which is the most pure sounding bass. And I'm sending this to the filter and I'm increasing the drive. This just makes it sound more audible and warm. The cutoff can be left alone because there's pretty much no high frequencies on a sine wave. Now make sure this random knob is set all the way to 0%. Otherwise you may get some clicking with random phasing. And then the next step is in your amplitude envelope, which is envelope 1. Bring your sustain all the way to negative infinity, which means that the volume eventually reaches 0. And then adjust the decay to taste. And you can see visually, this is the sound we want. By the way, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. I just want to let you know that my new masterclass in chords is out now. In this class, I'm going to show you my personal no-brainer approach to writing complex, deep chords that will get you sounding like an advanced music producer. Think of those deep, feel-good chords that you find in 90s atmospheric jungle, liquid drum and bass, and even UK garage. I never had any formal music theory training, so I had to learn about writing chords from the ground up. So I believe that my approach is perfect for anyone that is a beginner in music theory. And if you haven't checked out my classes on Skillshare yet, I have a total of 7 classes from everything from drum editing, chopping up breaks, writing bass lines, and even a beginner's tutorial with sound design in Serum. The series is called Ableton Essential Exercises, so check it out soon. For newcomers, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes to help you expand on your creativity and passions. From graphic design, music theory, video editing, even social media, Skillshare has all the topics available to help you become a successful music producer in the modern age. The best part is that the first 500 people that use my link down in the description will receive 30 days free and 40% off on a Skillshare annual membership. So check it out, and I'll see you at my class at Skillshare. Now remember the 2 samples we added, the pad and the little chime melody? Just by chance, both of these instruments or loops were created in the key of E flat minor. That's indicated in the name of the file at the end here. So just by chance, it just plays in harmony to each other. It's not always the case. You may select a sample that is in a completely different key. If it's in a completely different key, you may have to go into the sample and adjust the pitch so it matches the key. For example, if this was E flat minor and this was F, which was 1 semitone above or 2 semitones above, I would have to change this and bring this pitch down by 2 to match. So we know this track is written in E flat minor. E flat is the same as D sharp. So we're gonna write a bass line that matches the key. So we're writing in D sharp minor. And what I do when I write bass lines is just listen to the chords. That's the lesson here, is listen to the music. So listen to the vibe of these chords, right? And try to hum along, try to think, what kind of melody in terms of bass line do you hear from it? If you listen to the pad, there's this consistent tone like da, da, right? So you can start, that gives you a hint on where you can take the bass line. So while I'm listening to this, I just started hearing bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Right? Just a simple couple of notes. I recreated that bass line just with these notes here. And sometimes it's hard to hear it at this low of a register. So all you have to do is bring it up a couple octaves up. So from here on in, once you have the drums, the bass, and atmospherics and melodies, all you need to add is additional background sounds and effects. Particularly with atmospheric jungle, you have to be cognizant about creating an atmosphere. So some sounds that are popular would be female breath vocals, such as this one, which is in fragments. Animal and nature sounds such as whales, dolphins, and even crickets are also great choices for adding atmosphere. So here's this whale sound by Crystal. I also found these really cool dolphin sounds on Splice. And that is sounding deep. Now the key to atmospheric jungle is to take the listener in through a journey. So instead of keeping the same theme throughout the entire track, I'm gonna introduce a completely new chord at the second drop. So I found this really cool strummed piano chord from the OG Jungle sample pack. What I'm doing is playing 2 notes. Again, we're starting with the D sharp and going to F since our track is written in D sharp. This should work seamlessly with the other atmospheric chord that we have. And I believe this is going to add a nice contrast and juxtaposition between the one note chord that has been consistent through the first part of the track. When we jump into this chord, the emotion kind of changes and it becomes more uplifting. First and foremost, the addition of the strum pianos and the more uplifting chord just brightens up the mood, and also the changing of chords evokes even more uplifting emotions as opposed to the other chord, which is one single note. It's more of a meditative, somber vibe. We then change the feeling, so it's almost like taking the listener through a journey because emotions change throughout the track. And that is sounding sweet. So sweet, we might have to check the dentist for cavities. Dad joke there. All right, to add on to this uplifting feel, I found these vocal samples from OG Jungle. That just add a nice touch and are complementary to those piano chords. And this is quite common in ambient and 90s jungle as well. Finding these female vocal ad-libs, adding tons of delay and reverb. This adds to the vibe of the track. Let's check it with the chords. All right, sounding amazing. All right, so we have all the main sounds for our composition. So let's look at arranging this track. So what I've done is I have a quick 16-bar intro. If I had more time, I'd probably lengthen this structure. But just as a quick arrangement to show the evolution of the track, we have this intro here with just the main drums from Crystal and the pads. And then it breaks down into the amens and that Apache break along with the sub bass. And that goes for 32 bars with the pad intact. And then I drop the pads for just pure drums and bass. I just find it sounds really cool when you remove the pads and you just let the drums and bass ride out with a few other atmospheric sounds. It just gives that jungle vibe. And then in the middle here, I change it back to that original Crystal break and introducing the new OG Jungle pad and vocals. And then finally, we drop back into the amens with just bass. And then we reintroduce those warm pads at the end. Of course, I added some additional sounds to help with key transition areas. For example, I introduced the crash and reverse crash at certain parts, like here. All right, now that we have everything, let's hear the track in full. yeah, we might even run into some undiscovered marine life with this deep one. Big it up. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed watching me create some 90s deep atmospheric jungle. Remember the key ingredients: having full sounding breaks and amens, having that deep sub bass or 808, of course having those deep, lush, evolving chords. Never underestimate the power that one consistent chord can evoke in terms of emotion and depth. Of course, once you get into the middle of the track, remember to take the listener somewhere. You can change the chords or themes to a completely different sound. As long as it all makes sense harmonically, then it'll become a seamless transition. If you enjoyed any of the samples that I used today in DJ Crystal's Fragments and OG Jungle, you can find them at deviantaudio.com, where you can find more preset packs, sample packs, and the Ableton kits to help you along in your journey. You can find out more down in the links below. Finally, my name is Stranger, and if you want to improve your music production, especially with dance music, drum and bass, this channel is for you. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. If you want to check my first and most popular atmospheric and ambient jungle video, check this video up here. If you want to see more aim and break and jungle tutorials, check this playlist up here. Alright, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, stay creative, and peace out.